It's 6 p.m. Eastern in New York City. It's time for the Daily Wrap. And welcome to the Daily Wrap, everybody. We have a great show planned. The White House is ready to cut a deal with Iran. Rudy Giuliani tries to explain himself in a Wall Street Journal op-ed. And ISIS is training children to kill. No shock there. And I think there was an award show last night for something, even though not as many people watched as one would think. Anyway, I'm going to talk about all of that with the great, that's impromptu, I'm not saying it, great Rick Hunter from
I wrote
Forbes
the script.
magazine. Oh, all right. He's now a writer now as well. He also has a show on Sirius XM Radio. She is a powerhouse attorney. That is also impromptu, but I believe it. From the city of brotherly love, Heather Hansen joins us in a nice red tonight, by the way.
Thank you, Joe.
I don't think they're, Philly's red, I guess I'll call it.
There you go.
And finally, a former Navy SEAL and congressional candidate, Carl Higbee. You're back.
Back again.
Good to see you,
I don't
sir.
get like Master of the Universe or something like Rick? Or
He's writing these scripts.
Appearances,
He only fought for us, but he does not give us any accolades. Let's go to the Daily Download. Well, this past weekend, we did get some disturbing news. Another terrorist group has targeted the United States. This time, Al-Shabaab, a Muslim extremist group from Somalia, has released a video encouraging Muslims to attack some malls around the world, including the Mall of America in Minnesota. That's obviously one of our largest malls. To get a little background on the story, we are joined by Jonathan Gilliam. He is a former Navy SEAL himself and a special agent for the FBI. Jonathan now runs a security firm, United States Continued Services. Jonathan, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Good to be here. Thank you for having me.
So, John, first and foremost, who are Al-Shabaab and should we be worried?
Well, you know, I keep telling everybody again and again, don't concentrate so much on Al-Shabaab, Al-Qaeda in Yemen, Al-Qaeda in general, ISIS. Khorasan was big for a while. You need to start looking at the reality of who this is, and that is fundamental Islamic Mohammedism. That's what we're fighting here. It's the same Mohammedism that was 1,400 years ago, before there was even Sharia and Sunni conflicts. There was Mohammedism. It's the same tactics, the same principles, and they used terror back then. The only difference is now they have technologies that they didn't have back then, which gives them a global reach versus what they used to have, which was a regional reach. And so, you know, for the layman that's out there that was watching this show, getting bogged down in the names and where these people come from particularly, I think it's inconsequential for the fact that the overall ideology does not like us and wants to attack us.
Yeah, Jonathan, you said they now have global reach, and that obviously means the United States. They've specifically said the Mall of America. My question is, can you protect something like a mall from a terrorist attack, considering there's no real security around it? I mean, if a couple of guys want to go in there, kill everybody in it and themselves, it sounds like there's not a heck of a lot you could do unless it's obviously prevented well beforehand.
We've been saying this for a long time. When I left the SEAL teams in 2002, I served as an air marshal for a little bit and then went to a contracting company. And we were made up of SEALs, Special Forces from the Army, Air Force, and we were contracted to Department of Homeland Security to do threat assessments all over the country. We compiled massive amounts of information. We made suggestions of these places, malls, educational sectors, stadiums and arenas, all the different soft targets around the country. It is amazing to me that none of that information has been shared. And it's also very, very amazing that they haven't used this to teach the American people what to look for, because ultimately we were predicting these types of attacks back then, and it's the same type of techniques, tactics, and procedures that the enemy will use against us now. And the greatest thing to defend against that are people, aware people that are taught what to look for and where to look. That's it. That's the main thing.
Jonathan, vigilance, absolutely. I know Rick has a question.
Jonathan, just to switch gears on you just a tiny bit, there's a couple of articles that came out today suggesting that ISIL is very much in trouble, particularly within the borders of Iraq, and that they are now actually beginning to lose this fight. Very curious about your take on these pieces and if you see agreement there.
I don't see agreement in it, and what I see is a person writing an article that really is not educated in unconventional warfare. And I don't want to throw reporters under the bus. The reality is people write about things that they really don't know the truth and the depth of what they're writing about sometimes, and this is one of those cases. Again, it doesn't even matter if we eliminated all people off this earth that called themselves ISIS. This is a movement that is really, it's World War III, but it's the first unconventional world war we've ever had in history. So that's really what we need to concentrate on. I don't think ISIS is being beat back. We've had airstrikes which have done little. There are reports from fighters that are fighting against ISIS out there that say that, really they go in, they get into gunfights every day. They have sources that sit at the military bases, and when the airplanes take off, they radio everybody from ISIS, and they all disperse. So
John,
they're
let me
really
jump
not
in
doing.
here and back you up real quick. And to what Rick said, just because they haven't taken new ground doesn't mean they're falling behind. I think that's a common misconception, like you said with the article. Just because they don't take a new city, they don't take Baghdad, they're still holding key cities like with the Mosul Dam and places like that. They don't need to expand anymore. They have the oil fields they need, and they're building within themselves. As you can see, they're recruiting children and things like that. So I think John hit the nail on the head with that. They're just because they don't physically expand by land and by territory doesn't mean that they're
Doesn't mean
not.
they're losing.
Exactly, and with the airstrikes we're doing is holding them from keeping new grounds, but they're still developing within, and this has become global. They're now reaching out via the social media, and they're beating us at our own game almost.
And you have to remember, guys, that unconventional warfare, terrorism is unconventional warfare. It's getting the biggest bang for your buck. And that's what we have to realize is that, they are making the war look way bigger than it really is over there. And while they're doing that, their roots are spreading all over the world. I mean, you've had Australia, Canada, Denmark of all places, one of the most peaceful places that there are, attacked, it's a virus that is spreading all over the globe, and it's like an iceberg. I don't know if I said this on your show before, what you see on the top of the water is nothing compared to what's under the water when it comes to an iceberg. That's what sank the Titanic. So we need to really start looking at what's going on underground. And one other thing, what happened with these 3 girls over in Great Britain, followed their friend. Those are the types of things that can be stopped. Those are the types of recruitment techniques that can be stopped right there.
Jonathan, we want to thank you for joining us. We really appreciate that. We know we kept you a little longer than we promised, but you were making such poignant and quite frankly, compelling, disturbing points, and certainly vigilance seems to be the overriding theme on this, so we really appreciate it.
You got it. And long live the brotherhood, Carl.
You too, John.
Coming up next, did America's mayor try to take back his comments on Obama not loving America? This is the Daily Wrap only on Newsmax TV.